Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can do some additional styling to the structure grid layer that we made in the previous videos. And I'm also going to demonstrate how we can display that in both a 2D projection view and in a 3D view. Right, let's get started. So we're going to start off here with a few basic styling options for our structure grid. So I'm going to come here and click on the edit icon. As I showed in the previous video, we can select our color palette here. So let's say I want to give that a slightly different color palette. I can do so and click apply, and that updates. Now let's say that I wanted to make our contour interval tighter here. So right now our contours go from about minus 1,000 to about minus 7,000 in increments of 500. That's quite coarse. So let's say I wanted to change that. I come here and I can click on the edit icon. I can say custom contours, and we'll have this go from minus 500 to sorry, forget this is negative, so we're going to go from minus 7,000 to minus 500. Remember, this is all in TVD sub C, and we're going to do this in increments of 250. I'm going to click apply, and now we have the higher resolution contour intervals displayed. Now let's say that I wanted to view my structure grid and my isopack grid jointly. And let's say I wanted to color my structure grid with my isopack grid. How could I do that? Well, what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to inspect that isopack grid. So I'm going to add a property, and I'm going to add that isopack grid, and I'm going to look at this for the, sorry, accidentally clicked out of the box there. I'm going to add that to the Niobrara formation. I'm going to give that a color palette, and I'm going to click add. And now here we can see our isopack grid. Now let's say that I wanted to look at my structure contours, but I wanted to color this by the isopack grid. Well, how would I do that? What I would do here is I would turn on my structure grid. I'm going to edit that. And I'm going to turn the opacity to 0, which removes the colors. So now I've just got the contours from my structure grid. So now I'm going to turn on my isopack grid. Now I can still see my isopack contours. And what I will do is I'll just remove those by clicking the edit icon. And I'm going to hide the contours away. So now I have my structure contours, and it's colored by my isopack thickness. Okay, so there's a couple of examples of how we're able to do styling. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to add a new 3D view here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to add it in my cross-section window here. So I'm just going to click on this menu in the top right. I'm going to say Add Tab, and I'm going to add a new 3D view. Okay, and you'll notice when I add this view, we see our well headers here. Okay, so that's a good start. But now I want to add those structure grids. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the plus icon. I'm going to add a new structure layer here, and I'm going to choose our structure grid. And then I'm going to choose a handful of, I'm going to choose my tops and my headers, and then I'm going to choose a handful of surfaces to display, such as my Teapot, Sussex, Niobrara, and let's say Maori formations. And I'm going to choose to give those some colors. So I'm going to make the Maori a dark green, Niobrara a lighter green, the Teapot, let's say I'll make that red, and the Sussex, I will make that, let's say, kind of a brownish orange color here. I'm going to click add, and you'll notice that the tops appear and the surfaces appear here. Now, if yours did not appear, there may be a little bit of a disconnect here. And so I want to demonstrate this. If you zoom out, and I'm going to turn off my my shape files here so we can see better, you'll see that there is a blue dot with what looks like a triangle coming off of it. And you'll notice another blue dot that's in the center. This is my camera. So as I move this around, you can see that it is rotating my view. And this point here in the center is my center of mass. So this is what the camera points at. So if, for example, this dot here is outside of all my data, I won't see anything in my 3D view. So if this happens to you, zoom out, find that blue dot, and just move it over top of your data. Once you've done that, you won't have to interact with those dots on the map anymore. You can zoom in and out using your middle mouse button. You can rotate it around using a left click and drag. And if you want to move it higher and lower or pan left and right, you can do that with a right click and drag. Okay, now that I've done that, I want to increase my vertical exaggeration a little bit. So I'm going to change my vertical exaggeration to 4. And here we can see what we have here. And one of the things you can notice is it does look like I have a busted top pick in this. Now I want to know which well that is from so we can go fix it. And what I will do is to help me diagnose that, I'm going to add our deviation surveys. So to do this, I'm going to click plus here, and I'm going to add a well bore, and I'm going to add our well headers, and I'm going to add our process deviations and click add. And now we can see these well bores. And what I can see is that, you know, this particular well, if I click on it, it'll give me the API number. This particular well, the well header looks like it is significantly at a significantly different value here. So I can inspect this by adding a details view. So I'm going to click add tab over here, and I'm going to add a details view. And if I look at this in my well database, I see we have an elevation here of 3893. And if I click on some of the adjacent wells, I see the elevation is over 5,000 feet. So when I look at that here, I now want to edit that in my log database. So to do that, I will just expand out my files. I will click on my WDB. I'm going to come back here to my map, and I'm going to copy the API here. I can copy this. I can then come in here, add a filter. I'm going to say API is equal to, I'm going to paste that in and say add. And I think this was probably supposed to be 4893 as opposed to 3893. So I can click on this, and I can edit this, and I can make that 4893. I can then save those changes. And then I can come back over here, and there will be a couple of things that I need to do. I want to come in here. I'm going to rerun my structure grid flow, and I'm going to rerun my ISOPAC grid flow, and those will run here in just a second as they had previously. And then I'm going to once those have ran, and which they now have, I'm going to come in here and I need to refresh this view. So I'm just going to save and hit the refresh button. And now we'll notice that bust is now gone for this particular well. Okay, and you'll now notice it's showing a lot more of the well headers in here, and that's because we are showing this now unfiltered. So we can come in here, and we could choose to filter this to just the vertical wells if we would like. All right, so now that we've done that, we have a 3D view. We have our map view. Last thing I want to demonstrate in this video is how we can add a projection view. So I'm going to add one more tab here. I'm going to add a projection view tab. And you'll notice a box here appears around our data. So this box, it has 3 points on it. This square at the top is what we can use to drag this. So I'm going to drag this down, and you'll notice that everything here disappears. Now I can click on the box and I can drag the box, and I can drag the box up here into our into our area of interest. I can grab the other points on this box to change the orientation of it. You know, and I'm going to make this box a little bit thinner here. And this box, you know, is tied to our projection view. So anything that is inside the box will be shown in the projection view. So this is a useful way for us to come in and inspect our structure grids and see how those are behaving. And it gives us a way to identify if we have any tops that are maybe not fitting our structure grid model. One thing to note about this view is you can zoom by selection here. So I can, you know, choose to select only a certain part of my area. I can also left click and zoom here on my x-axis. All right, so that wraps it up for what I'm going to demonstrate in this video. So as a reminder, we styled our maps here. We displayed our structure grids and our headers here in a 3D view, as well as our deviation surveys. And we also added a projection view here that we were able to use to inspect our structure grids across the area to help us QC those. All right, if you need help setting up this view, feel free to contact us at support@danomics.com. Thank you.